All right, we are back for another state test prep session. Today we're doing standard 7.RP.3. Let's get right into it. Ben has a coupon for an additional 15% off the sales price of any item in the store. He uses his coupon to buy a shirt whose sale price is already 20% off the original price. He pays $14.96 and there is no sales tax. What is the original price of the shirt? So, first we have to figure out how much he saved. So, hold on a second, let me make sure everything's... All right. So, he pays $14.96, okay? So $14.96 was his final price. That's after he took off an additional 15% of the original discounted price, okay? 14.96 is 85% of the original discounted price. Remember, to convert a percent to a decimal, you take your percent, nix the percent, grab the decimal point. If it's not there, it's at the end, and move it 2 spots to the left, and that's your decimal. That's how we got 0.85. Now, you're going to divide each side by 0.85. I'm going to assume this is the kind of question you can use a calculator on. What happened to my trusty calculator? Here it is. So we do 14.96 divided by 0.85 was 1760. So 17.6 is the original discounted price. Now you have to remember that 17.6 was 20% off the original price. So this 17.6 is 80%, again, 80, move the decimal place over twice, of the original price. This time we'll call it Y. To find the original price, we have to divide both sides by 0.8. 17.6 divided by 0.8 is 22. So that means the original for real price was $22. Okay, it was $22. He got 20% off that, which discounted it to $17.60, and then took another 15% off of it, which discounted it to $14.96. Question 2. Kate purchases a $20 item at a store. She uses a coupon to receive a 15% discount, and then she pays a 6% sales tax on the item. She calculates the total cost in dollars of the item using the expression shown. Describe the error in the expression Kate used for her calculation, and show or explain how you would calculate the total cost of Kate's purchase. So this is not even asking you to find it. Let's talk about Kate's expression. So, $20. The 1.06 clearly is meant to represent sales tax. So you're paying 6%, right? Here's the problem. The problem is the 1.15. This is meant to be a 15% discount, okay? By doing 1.15, you're actually increasing the price by 15%. By using 1.15, you're increasing the price not discounting it. That's part A. Part B is to do it properly, like we did in the last one. If you want to find the discount of something, you figure out how much you're actually paying of it. If it's a 15% discount, you do 100 minus 15. You're paying 85% of the price. So you need to find out what 85% of the price is. To do that, we move the decimal place over 2 places. 0.85 becomes our decimal. So part B would involve multiply by 0.85 instead of 1.15 fixed. Okay. Question 3. An experiment for a chemical reaction involves mixing 1 teaspoon of yeast with 1/4 cup of hydrogen peroxide. Del Rey wants to do the same experiment with larger amounts of the 2 ingredients. He uses 1/2 cups of hydrogen peroxide and needs to keep the same ratio of yeast to hydrogen peroxide. Note that there are 48 teaspoons in 1 cup. How much yeast in cups should Del Rey mix with this amount of hydrogen peroxide? So we have a 1 teaspoon to 1/4 cup. Now we have 1 1/2 of cups. Okay? How do you get, via multiplication, from 1/4 to 1 1/2? Well, you do 1 1/2 divided by 1/4, and you get 6. You are multiplying this by a scale of 6. So, if we're multiplying the hydrogen peroxide by 6, we have to multiply the teaspoons of yeast by 6. We used 1 originally. 1 times 6 would be 6. So you would think to put 6 here, but you're wrong, because it says how much yeast in cups should Del Rey mix with this amount of hydrogen peroxide. You're using 6 teaspoons. There are 48 in a cup, so 6 teaspoons out of 48 would be 6. 48, 1/8 of a cup of yeast. Question 4. Pete and Tegan each put the same amount of money in a new bank account. Tegan's account earns 2.75% simple interest, and she earned $2.20 in interest after 1 year. Pete's account earns 5% simple interest. How much interest did Pete earn in his account after 1 year? This is another double percentage problem. Okay, here's how we need to approach this. So, if $2.20 represents the interest earned off of Tegan's account, we know that she earns 2.75% interest. So let's take 2.75% and convert it to a decimal. Get rid of the percent, take our decimal, move it over 2 places. So that becomes 0.0275x, where x is her original bank account value. So now we're going to divide both sides by 0.275. And if you don't quite understand that, I would again advise looking over the video for expressions and equations, because that's where I go more in depth onto how these work. But 2.20 divided by 0.0275 gives us $80. That means that the original balance of Tegan's bank account was $80. Now, Pete and Tegan put in the same amount of money, so we know that Pete also had $80. So we need to find out what 5% of $80 is. So again, we're going to convert our percent to a decimal. We're going to move the decimal over 2, and we're going to get 0.05. And we're going to find out what 0.5 or 0.05 times 80 is. 5% of 80. So 0.5 times 80. Oh, wait, 0.05, Mr. Dietz, times 80 is 4. So he earned $4 in interest. All right. Question 5. Sam is collecting money for an animal shelter. He collects $150 each day for 6 days. The shelter will use 35% of the money he collects to buy pet food. The rest of the money will be used to buy cleaning supplies. How much of the money that Sam collects will be used to buy cleaning supplies? Okay, first off, we need to figure out how much money Sam got. $150 every day for 6 days. Okay, so 150 times 6 is 900. He earned $900. 35% of it will be used to buy pet food, the rest to buy cleaning supplies. So then we have to figure out how much is being used to buy cleaning supplies. So, percent is always out of 100. If 35% is being used for pet food, you need to take out that 35%. 100 minus 35 is 65. Now we need to convert this to a decimal. Grab your decimal, move it over 2 spaces. 0.65. So now we need to take this 0.65 that we have and multiply it by 900. This is 65% of 900. 0.65 times 900 is $585. All right, question 6, calculator allowed. A baker is making rolls and loaves of bread. For every 14 rolls, he uses 2.75 cups of flour. For every 5 loaves of bread, he uses 5.5 cups of flour. He makes 10 loaves of bread. The baker uses the same amount of flour for the rolls as he does for the loaves of bread. Okay, so if he's making 10 loaves of bread, for every 5 loaves, he uses 5.5 cups. He's making a double order, so he'll need a double of 5.5. 5.5 times 2 is 11. So he uses 11 cups of flour. So now we need to figure out how many rolls he made. If he's using 11 cups of flour and he uses 2.75 cups per order of rolls, 11 divided by 2.75 means he made 4 orders of rolls. Every order of rolls has 14, so 4 orders of 14 rolls. Gosh darn it. 4 orders of 14 rolls would result in 56 rolls. And that's your answer. Let's go to question 7. Terry shops at the store where all items are on sale for 20% off. One of the items she wants to buy had an original price of $40. Select a value to complete the statement that describes the sale price. The sale price is equal to 40 times what? All this is asking you to do is convert the 20% to decimal form. Remember, 20% in decimal form means you drop the percent, move the decimal over 2 spots. It will be 0.2. That's this answer, 0.20. Question 8. Seema uses 45 square feet of material for every 6 tote bags she makes. Last weekend, she used 20 square yards of material to make X tote bags. 1 square yard equals 9 square feet. She sold the X tote bags she made at a craft fair for $5.25 per tote bag. How much did she receive in dollars? So she uses 45 square feet of material for each 6 tote bags that she makes. She used 20 square yards to make X tote bags. So each square yard equals 9 square feet. So first off, let's figure out how many square feet of material it takes to make the 6 tote bags. So 1 square yard is 9 square feet. Okay? So, you can do this a variety of ways. You go from 9 to 45. That would be timesing it by 5, which would give you 5. Okay. You could have also figured out that 1 to 9 involves dividing by 9 to go from 9 to 1. So you could have divided by 9 to go from 45 to 5. But this, in my opinion, is the easier way. So they made 5 sets of tote bags. There were 6 tote bags in every set. So 5 sets of 6. What is 5 times 6? 30. Then each tote bag is sold for $5.25. So how much money did she make? 30 tote bags times 5.25 is $157.50. Last one for this section. Tristan buys art supplies. Paintbrushes are $4.80 each. He has a coupon for 25% off of his purchase. And the sales tax is 10%. What is the greatest number of paintbrushes that Tristan can buy with $50? Okay, so we have $50. Okay? Now, first, we have to figure out the cost per paintbrush. To do that, we have to take the original cost, $4.80. We have to account for the 25% off coupon. Okay? So if there's 25% off, that means we're only paying 75% of that price. Convert that to a decimal. Move the decimal point over twice. You're multiplying that by 0.75. Then the sales tax is 10%. Here, you're increasing the price by 10%, and 10% is just 0.1. But you can't put 0.1 because that would cause a decrease. If you're increasing the price by 10%, you have to account for the price, 1.10. I want to make sure that I make that clear. If you just did 0.75 times 0.1, that would make the final price drastically smaller. If it is a price increase, you have to put 1 point whatever percent it goes up. Because you're paying 110% of the price. Okay? Okay. Let's figure out what that means. 4.8 times 0.75 times 1.1. That means each paintbrush is $3.96. We have $50 to spend. So if we have $50 and you divide that by the price of $3.96, you get 12.6. But you can't buy 0.6 of a paintbrush, so he can only buy 12. Whew. All right. So that's going to do it for this standard. Thank you for hanging out. If you have any questions, let me know. And good luck on your test.